Welcome back to WRPL. It's the podcast where we talk about all the things we were watching, reading, playing, and listening to. My name's Ben, and we do not have Steve this week. He has been extremely busy with family and like life and jobs and stuff like that. So instead of skipping week after week, I got a ringer. Welcome, Nick. You've been on the show before. I think this is your third time.
Yeah, I think it's the third time. I'm sad though because I was waiting for you to team me up, and I was just like, and I'm Steve.
I wasn't sure if you were hip to the format. Yeah, I know you're like our one listener, so if anybody does know how this goes, it would be you. Uh, Kind of a catch-up episode. Not lots of stuff, but there's some things to talk about. A couple new releases. Our main topic will be A Quiet Place Day 1, and a few other things. But how's it going, Nick?
I can't complain.
All right, good. All right, let's start with some deaths. I know, a great way to start the show, but
Morbid.
we had two celebrity deaths in the past few days. First one, Donald Sutherland died at 88.
Mm.
I'm surprised he's only 88. That guy has looked 88 for a while now.
Yeah, it's funny. I saw a clip or like a clip of an interview from him, I guess, because he just died, and it was him talking about like his mom saying that he was ugly or whatever, basically when
Oh,
he was
wow.
younger, and how it really affected him. And I mean, of course, I wouldn't have seen a Donald Sutherland interview because why would I?
Yeah,
But yeah, I think it was getting shared because he passed away, and it was a tough watch.
that's
Just
brutal.
yeah, it was him talking about like her base, not calling him ugly, but saying like basically had a face that was like different or whatever. And he was like, and the interview, I forget who it was like, did that stick with you or whatever? And he was just like, yeah. And he was like crying like this full grown
Wow.
guy. Like,
That reminds me of when, like, Steve Buscemi, everyone was asking him, like, so what's it like being a weird, ugly dude? And he's like, am I a weird, ugly dude? Like, he never knew himself to be kind of an unattractive man until people said it. And, like, oh, what a kind of horrible realization.
yeah, that's tough. That's tough. But he should have known
But, I mean, if
that.
you look at him when he was younger, he's a handsome dude. He didn't look, it's like, as soon as he got into his late 20s, 30s, he got kind of a little more bug-eyed, a little more teethy. Uh, but yeah, poor Donald Sutherland. But 88, that's a good amount of years.
Above average
Yeah.
length at this time.
And then the other one, I don't know how familiar you are, but Martin Mull,
Nah.
he was on Roseanne. He was in Arrested Development. Did you watch Arrested Development?
I did actually watch Arrested Development.
You remember Gene Parmesan? He'd always like show up in a costume, and he'd like pull off a fake mustache, and the mother would be like, Gene.
No, that's
Yeah.
the guy.
Yeah, Martin Mull.
How old was he?
He was 81, but he actually looked a lot better than 81. I figured he was younger, but since he kind of looked like a man in his 50s when he was on Roseanne, it's not surprising that he is at that age. But
Yeah, if you make it to 80 anything,
Yeah.
I don't feel bad for you. You had a long life.
all right, so we had a couple of trailers released. Let's see. Let's talk about the one we just watched, the Red One trailer,
Yeah.
starring The Rock, Lucy Liu, and Chris Evans, a Christmas action comedy.
Yeah, I would have skipped watching this trailer if you hadn't put it on, because I mean I've talked to you about it before. I'm at the point in my life where I arrive at the movie to specifically skip all the trailers.
Yeah,
Like I don't care about the trailers anymore. Um,
and I don't need to be sold on a lot of things.
no.
Like, I love the Alien movies, so I watched the Alien Romulus trailer.
hmm
I know I'm going to see Deadpool and Wolverine. I don't need to see every fucking trailer that comes out for that. It's
Definitely
a
not all
given.
12 of them. There's so much. They're showing us so much.
So much. And this one just kind of popped on my TikTok feed. Like, oh yeah, that movie. Because there was a lot of talk of the Rock is kind of a piece of shit to work with because he shows up late,
Yeah, I
like
heard that.
8 hours late. He's pissing in bottles on set and just leaving them around for people to dispose of.
Yeah,
So-
my piss bottles.
Yeah. So I heard like this movie was kind of a harder shoot because they had to really shoot around him sometimes because he, we're shooting for this wonderful sunset and then he doesn't show up for 8 hours and like, well, we absolutely missed that by 7.5 hours. So I was interested in just seeing what this was. and it's a lot weirder than I expected it to be. I thought it was going to be very standard, like Santa Claus and all of his elves would be very high tech and sleek, but I didn't expect so many like monsters.
Yeah, I didn't even know anything about this movie at
Mm-hmm.
all. So until you showed me this trailer a few minutes ago, I think the only thing I knew of was that it was a Christmas movie, and I think I only knew that from just a random scrolling or
Mm-hmm.
something. Prior to that, if I had heard about this movie and who was in it, I would have thought it was a sequel, like I just told you.
To Red Notice.
Yes, to
Yeah.
Red Notice or something. That's what I would have thought.
And I think
So
that's why I thought it was a Netflix movie,
me too, I think.
but it's going to theaters, and it has a what's that holiday animated movie, The Guardian,
Rise of the Guardians.
Rise of the Guardians.
I got that
Which
vibe from it too. Yeah.
I like that movie. I think it's
Yeah.
fun. It's not perfect, but I don't know. It looks incredibly stupid.
Yeah.
But, since we have the movie pass, I'll probably see it.
Oh,
It looks fun enough. I just wish it wasn't The Rock. I'm sick of seeing that guy.
I am too. I especially since because he looks how he looks, I
Yep.
feel like you couldn't throw a wig on him or
Not
something
anymore.
else. No, you just
It's just
couldn't.
like Jason Statham. The
Yeah.
moment you give him hair, it's like, oh, you're playing this for a joke.
Yep.
Uh,
You couldn't even change up his look and
Yeah.
it not be weird. I think so.
Yeah.
I'm tired of seeing him too, but. And if I didn't have the movie pass, this is a movie I would probably skip.
Yep.
But I will say though, like with Christmas movies, I do give them more leeway
Mhm.
than some other movies because it's just a feel good genre.
Sure.
And that time of the year, you just want to feel goody.
Yeah.
So if it comes out to like relatively decent reviews, I'll be like, all right, I'll go watch that silly, stupid Christmas movie. But it looked bad. That trailer was bad.
That was bad.
And Chris Evans, I know you're a big Chris
I'm a
Evans
Chris
fan,
Evans, but
what is he doing in this movie?
Why? It's like most of his movie choices I've seen, like, okay, that makes sense. I understand it. But this or what was that? What's Your Number? That romantic comedy with Anna Faris, and it was like she's slept with over 20 people or almost 20 people, and all of her girlfriends like, oh, if you've slept with this many people and you're not married yet, then you're a total slut or something. And he's the slutty dude from across the way, and he's trying to help her reconnect with her exes so she doesn't go over her 20. Does that not sound familiar at all?
This is a recent movie?
I don't know. I mean,
Okay.
7-8 years ago, I'd say.
Yeah, I have no idea.
It's not great. It should have came out in the 90s. It's one of those sort of romantic comedies.
It was just weird seeing him in this.
Yeah.
Like, I mean, I knew he was in it. No, but in my head, I was picturing Ryan Reynolds, and that's
This is a
another
better thing for Ryan Reynolds. This
Yeah,
feels
probably.
like something for him.
But then it would have really gotten confusing. With
Yeah.
the red nose.
Yeah.
Probably.
But I guess like he's one of the biggest people who said he doesn't like working with The Rock because he's a nightmare to work with. So
If he's saying that, I mean, I don't know anything about how he is on set either. But Ryan Reynolds is so annoying to me.
Yeah.
Most of the time, not
Yep.
all the time. So if he's saying that, I can only imagine.
but maybe Ryan Reynolds is a good person to work with.
I could
It's
see that,
just
too.
his acting style is not great.
Yeah.
He's
agreed.
he's a wonderful Deadpool, but everything else, who
Perfect.
cares?
Perfect for Deadpool.
The other trailer we watched was Here, a Robert Zemeckis, Robin Wright, and Tom Hanks movie where the gimmick is the camera is locked into one place and you see the entire evolution of this singular location,
Yeah.
all the way back to the dinosaurs, which
Yeah.
is cool.
But I
And
bet that gets
that's real quick.
That gets real. Yeah.
That's the first maybe 30 seconds, and then we're zipping through time because we see the asteroid hit,
Yep.
and then you're gonna have to go through an ice age and all that, and that's just gonna zip
Yeah.
by. We'll see a couple of cavemen, and then it'll be pioneer times.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yep.
Do you think they'll go in the future? We see them when they're old, and clearly Robin Wright has Alzheimer's. Like, oh, honey, this is where we used to live. Do you think they'll go past that and like the year 3045?
That's a good question because you would think if it got to that point, they would that'd be the end of the movie.
Yeah.
Like if it got to them dead or whatever and their life is over. So why would they show us the future? But
Maybe during the credits, as the credits roll, you just
Yeah,
kind
that's
of
fine.
fast forward through time.
yeah, I'm cool with that.
Fun gimmick, but
Better be a 90 to 100 tops minute movie.
yeah, seeing that same perspective can probably get very, very boring. It'd be a fun movie to watch and fast forward. But anyhow, yeah, I like Rob.
I'm curious to see how that not only gets reviewed, like how that ends up, but
Mhm.
also like box office wise. The only way a movie like that makes money is if it gets like award buzz.
Yeah, and I can Robert Zemeckis isn't perfect. Like Back to the Future is great, Forrest Gump, all that. But he has that Christmas Carol movie, Polar Express. Did he do Beowulf? Yeah.
I like Beowulf.
And when was the last time you watched Beowulf? It's a hard watch.
It's been a long time. Maybe I should revisit that movie.
After like the first 45 minutes, you go, oh, okay, this is wrapping up, right? And like, no, you still have the dragon fight and all this. It just goes on way too long, and it's so incredibly ugly.
I was going to say, even now, or more so now, you'd probably watch it and be like, this is aged poorly.
That was one of my first 3D movies, and there's a shot where they're like pointing a spear directly, like the scene changes and the spear is pointing right at you, and I actually like jumped in my seat like, wow, this real 3D is so cool. But then the effect kind of wears off after a while.
It's been a long time since 3D got me. Every time I see a movie at even our local theater that comes out in 3D format, I'm always surprised.
Yeah, because when we're still doing this?
Yeah, when we worked at a theater, they were really pushing it.
Yeah.
And now they're just like, okay, we get it.
And it seems like it's just kind of the kids animated stuff. I don't think there's a lot of live action 3D.
No, I think you're right. But that makes it all the more surprising when I do see one that is listed as a 3D live action. I'm just like, oh. And almost, like, I think Aquaman might have been a fairly recent one.
All right.
And because I remember the water effects from the first one, I remember considering watching that in 3D. But but you got to pay extra, and we have the pass, and it's just like,
why am I paying more for that? Yeah,
unless it's like, I don't even know if did they even shoot movies anymore, like with 3D cameras and 3D
I don't know.
In mind. That was a thing for a bit.
Technology just kind of came and went.
Yeah.
And so many theaters, they like bought special projectors and all these things just for this gimmick.
And for some things, it was great.
Something
like for this August, they're doing Coraline again. It's like that the Coraline thing cracks me up because it's almost like suddenly everybody around my age like got to an age where we're all nostalgic for Coraline, and now all of a sudden, like in the last few years, I'm seeing Coraline T-shirts everywhere. I'm seeing Coraline dolls, Coraline tattoos.
Yeah,
like
it's the new Nightmare Before Christmas.
Yeah, but when I was younger, I mean, I always liked that movie because I like the sense of isolation. You follow that one character. I love those kind of movies, but I'm really surprised that movie has become such a cult movie. But anyway, I brought it up just because in August they're doing a 3D re-release of that, and that movie I did see in 3D, and I remember thinking this is really cool. But stop motion is different.
Yeah,
it's a totally different ball game. I think with the 3D.
And our last trailer was Nosferatu, which you also hadn't seen until a couple minutes ago.
Yeah, I actually did want to see that trailer, but like I said, I arrived to movies so late that I haven't caught it.
I mean, that's a trailer I don't need to see. I know what after seeing it, is like, yep, that's exactly what I imagined. I like Robert Eggers. I like that cast. You don't need to sell me on it.
Nope.
Yeah.
I'm watching it either way. I'd pay for that movie. And I'll be honest, that trailer didn't like floor me. I was like, holy shit. But I was going to watch it anyway, and it didn't do anything to deter me from doing that. So I'll be there.
Yeah. All right. Let's see. One other thing before we get into the actual stuff. What do you think of Superman's new costume? We got like an actual official release of him tying his boot, and then we got some on-set photos of like Mr. Terrific and others.
Yeah, because I don't care too much, unless you showed me like the previous few. I mean, obviously, I know it's a big difference probably from the original suits. But if you put it next to Cavill's suit, I probably would. That's the only way I would really be like, oh, I see all the differences.
Really? Oh, I think it's like night and day compared to pretty much everything.
I only saw a few images, and it didn't bother me. I mean, are you saying you liked it?
I like it.
Oh, okay. It didn't.
I like the high collar. Most of the time, we get the kind of the low swooping neck for Superman, which just like with Robert Pattinson's The Batman, he had a collar too. So there's just something about that I really like. I think the shorts, they're not too much like briefs. They're not too much like regular shorts. They're like a good in between. It does have the problem with a lot of things with all the piping or, the little space lines to give it like something more than just a blank blue outfit, but I think it looks good. It looks a little loose, you can see it like folding in areas, and normally when you see Superman in a movie, it's so skin tight,
yeah.
you don't see anything, which is okay. I just don't want it to look like he was supposed to bulk up and he didn't quite make it, and then they
Yeah.
didn't change it. But things could always be fixed in post,
Yeah.
and this could be the suit one, the suit that his mom made for him, and then by the end of the movie, he'll have his final suit. We don't know, but I think it looks pretty great.
Yeah, I mean, I don't have any skin in the game as
Yeah.
far as like a Superman suit. I do really love Man of Steel more than your average person probably, but my Superman like fandom is pretty minimal, I
Yeah.
would say. So I remember seeing the suit and thinking, cool. I do remember seeing set photos of him as Clark and him as Superman, and I like that they tried a little bit. To
Yeah,
make
he
him
looks
look
like
different.
a little fatter as Clark. He just looks like thicker in the face. I'm sure he's like just hunching
and
more.
he slicks his,
And his hair's
yeah.
different. And you know, you look at Henry Cavill and you throw glasses on him, like there's no way you are Clark Kent and no one's getting it. I think Brandon Routh is a good, double, even though you can still kind of tell. Christopher Reeve was always good, but yeah, Cavill was not a great Clark Kent. He doesn't blend in.
No, that's a handsome man.
Yeah.
Outside of anywhere, like you see that guy anywhere, and you're like, that guy stands out, glasses or not.
I was listening to this podcast about True Lies, and they were talking about how it's very silly that Arnold Schwarzenegger, he's this super government spy, but he also is like this computer salesman. He's the largest man in the world. He's taller than all of his co-stars. He's 6'6", and like he walks into a place, you instantly think, okay, that guy's a super spy. You don't think that guy's a computer salesman. And so it's the same with Cavill. So I like that David Corn Sweat. He fills that role.
Is he from anything else? I don't recognize.
The only thing I've seen him in was Pearl. He's the projectionist that Pearl kills.
Oh, okay.
Because I remember watching Pearl and go, damn, that guy looks a lot like Henry Cavill. And then here we are.
I've only seen Pearl the one time. I
need to rewatch it. Maxine's next week, so
I don't know.
Yeah.
I've heard mixed things.
Oh, really?
Early.
Oh, okay. I haven't really heard much of anything. All I'm hearing is long legs. I haven't heard anything about Maxine.
Long legs. Yeah, no, I mean, long legs. I don't need to. I'm going to watch it either way. I think I'm similar to you in that, like, a horror movie, unless it gets, incredibly terrible reviews, I'll give it a shot.
Yeah, Blumhouse are the ones that, like, I got to watch that trailer, because if you pitched me Imaginary, I'd be like, oh, that sounds kind of cool. Night Swim? Okay. I mean, Haunted Pool? There's a lot you could do with that. But then you see the trailer and go, oh, no, that's shit. I don't need to see that.
I still haven't seen Imaginary. I did see Night Swim, and just like you just said, it's like there's things they could have done that they just didn't do.
No one gets, like, their arm sucked into the drainage thing. It's just a lot.
Yeah. Missed opportunity.
Yep.
Imaginary, I have no idea. I'll take your word for it. I've heard.
Yeah, I have not. I didn't go see it.
Oh, you didn't see it?
No, I just have heard awful things.
Okay.
It's not good until the last 10 minutes. Then it gets crazy because I guess they're in the imaginary world. So I'm like, okay, cool. I'd like to see that, but that's a wait till streaming, even with the free pass.
Yeah, I wonder if same. Like I've gotten to a point where I also skip movies, even though we both have the same. Not free pass, but flat fee, and we can see whatever we want. I still skip stuff because life's too short, and there's good stuff on TV or good shows at home. I'm not gonna drive to the theater to watch Bad Boys for Life or whatever.
Ride or Die, yeah,
or whatever.
Yeah. It should be for life because it's the fourth movie. It's so annoying.
I think we all agree. Yeah.
Same with Batman Forever. It's the third Batman movie. God damn it! Why do you do that? Just save it. You don't have to do Forever.
Yeah.
All right, let's talk about some things that we consume. What have you been watching, reading, playing, listening to? Anything you want to recommend?
Man, there's a reason I'm not on this with you.
You don't consume nearly as much as me.
I don't.
But you do, I'd say, probably consume more than Steve. There are days coming in. Steve has to force himself to watch the one thing, so we have one thing to talk about.
Oh, fair enough.
But you listen to a lot more.
True.
Any new albums or anything that you would recommend?
There's a band I listen to called The Story So Far that put out an album recently. One of my favorites. They're kind of like pop punk. Mine dial the pop down a little bit.
Okay.
Yeah, I've been
Have they
listening to that
been
a lot.
around since like the early 2000s?
Not the early 2000s. I want to say they came into like on the tail end of like that Blink 182 and stuff.
Okay.
Definitely after that stuff, but they're more modern pop punk. I think I started listening to them in high school, late high school. So, but anyway, yeah, I mean, I've been listening to that a lot. I know me and you watched UFC last night.
Yeah, yeah, yeah.
That's what I do with a lot of my time. But yeah, no, I mean, I made sure to watch A Quiet Place,
Yep.
so we had that to
So we had
talk
that.
about. But I wanted to see it anyway. I was excited for that movie. I think many of us were wanting to see the, I guess, invasion, the
Yeah,
immediate
yeah,
invasion of these. But
yeah.
we'll talk about it
We'll
when we
get
get
to
to
it.
it.
We'll
Yeah, we'll
get
get
to
to
it. All right. Well,
it.
I want to talk about Bikeriders.
Yeah, see, that's one I wanted to see. So I know you talked to me a little bit about
Yeah.
it, but I'll sit back and listen to some more.
So a lot of the things I've heard is it's a modern day Scorsese movie.
Mm.
It's Easy Rider meets Goodfellas, and I don't know. Maybe you can make those comparisons, but this movie kind of sucks, and I'm very surprised that it's getting so much love. And I'm a little biased. I don't like motorcycles. I don't like the people
Yeah,
who ride motorcycles, who obsess over motorcycles.
not a Sons of
Nope,
Anarchy
never
watcher.
never watched a single episode. I knew it was like, oh, these are just a bunch of assholes. I don't care. Uh
Assholes on two wheels.
yeah, and like everyone knows the South Park episode about the bike riders. I'm right there with them. So this movie is based off of a book about a man who followed this biker gang around, took pictures of them over like 8 years, 6 or 8 years. And so he's actually in the movie as well. And most of it is being told by Austin Butler's wife, played by Jodie Comer.
Okay.
And so she's just recounting why she fell in love with this guy, and really the reason was he was hot. All the other biker guys scared the shit out of her. She wanted to leave, but he was hot, so she stayed.
God damn it,
And
Austin Butler.
and and then that's about the extent of it. You don't really see why they love each other. Like, she has said he's hot, so I'm with him, but he never says why he's with her. He doesn't show her any affection. It's always about the gang first. She comes second, but like he won't give up riding even though he almost loses his foot in a fight. But she fights for him, and I don't get their relationship. There's nothing there besides you're attractive. And then we have and then he doesn't do anything. Austin Butler is so boring in this movie. He barely has any lines of dialogue. Everybody else does the talking. He just kind of
smolder.
just smolder and throw punches once in a while. And then Tom Hardy constantly saying, "Hey, I need you to take over the gang for me when I retire." And like, "No, not me. Never me." That's the whole thing. He has like no arc except for she tells a story about how he doesn't cry. When he lost his dad, he didn't cry. When he almost lost his foot in a fight, didn't cry. But at the very end, do you care about spoilers?
No.
Okay. So at the
If Tom
end,
Hardy wasn't in this movie, I would have zero interest.
when Tom Hardy dies,
God damn it.
I said spoilers. He eventually cries for that. Like, he shows no emotion to his wife. She almost gets raped, and he barely does anything about that. But then Tom Hardy dies, and he breaks down for that. It's ridiculous. He has no arc. And then Tom Hardy is doing his weird accent that he has to put a weird
Always.
accent on every character he does. He's a good actor, but he's so silly to watch because his accent is so dumb. And Jodie Comer, I know she's British, so she's trying her best, but she sounds like a character that Tina Fey is doing in an SNL sketch.
Wait, what's the accent that Tom Hardy is trying to do in this movie?
They're from like Chicago.
She's doing like a Chicago
I
kind of
guess.
thing.
I don't know the Chicago accent as well. All I know is like da bears. So that sort of. So she sounds like a caricature that is in an SNL sketch, and I don't know if Tom Hardy's accent is accurate, but it's kind of ridiculous. There's only one character I kind of like, and it's the dude from Logan with the robot hand. What's his name? The bad guy from Logan. Come, you know.
I haven't watched Logan in a minute.
He was in Predators or The Predator, the recent one.
I mean, I remember Predator a
God, you're
lot more
not
than
Steve. I
The
need
Predator.
Steve here to say the names. Boyd Holbrook.
Oh,
Yeah,
yes.
yeah, Boyd Holbrook. You know,
Okay.
from The Predator, The Host,
Boyd Holbrook. That's
Indiana Jones and the Dial of Destiny, Vengeance.
that's like uh multiverse Joel Kinnaman.
Yes, yes. I get every time he came up on screen, I was just like, "Oh, Joe Kinnaman." No, that's not him. Who the fuck is this guy? And I could not place it.
They're both good. They're
But
both good at what they do.
I like him because he actually whenever they cut to him, he's just talking about different sort of engines and how to make things better, and like he has a true love for the craft of motorcycle building, and everybody else just wants to get drunk, do drugs, and drive around and harass people. That's all they do. At least he seems like he's in it for the motorcycles, and everybody else is in it for being a badass. Yeah, and then like Tom Hardy gets killed by a kid he slights, and then it's pretty much over. It sucks. It's right now going on my worst of the year list. I don't know why people like it. It's fucking boring.
I mean, I don't think I've heard any like major praise, but I definitely haven't heard any anything negative. So
All right. I don't need to talk about Thelma, but I'll just say Thelma was a good time, really heartfelt. The best way to put it, it's like the beekeeper meets grumpy old men. So she gets scammed on the phone saying like, "Oh, your grandson's in jail. If you don't send us $20,000 in the mail to this PO box, he's not going to get out." She does it and then realizes, "No, fuck that. I'm going to go get my money." So she teams up with Richard Roundtree, who's the original Shaft, and they get on the little motorized scooter and they go to hunt down their money. And then her daughter, son-in-law, and grandson are searching for her, and it's heartfelt. It makes you think, especially about how we treat old people. They go visit one of their friends who's just living in filth with cockroaches everywhere, and her mind's not there as much, and it makes you really go, I should call my elderly relatives. This is very sad. But the best thing about it is it's shot and edited kind of like an action movie. It's not like John Wick or anything, but you have her trying to climb a set of stairs, and she's 92 years old, and the music is just dun 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 dun, dun, and she's just slowly going up the stairs, slipping on the carpet.
who plays her?
Her name is June Squibb. She's been in a bunch of stuff. The thing I know her most from is Nebraska.
Okay, I never saw Nebraska.
Yeah. I don't know if you've seen anything else she's done. That's the only thing I know her from. But It's based on a true story. The director and writer, this happened to his grandmother and decided, let's turn this into a comedy. So pretty good stuff. I don't know if it's on my best of the year list. Hasn't been the best year for things.
Not yet,
but I'm enjoying. I enjoyed it.
Okay. Yeah, I mean it's one that I probably would not go out of my way to watch, but I bet you it's something I'd put on and would enjoy.
If it came out on like Mother's Day, that
Yeah.
would have been the perfect movie to take your mom to.
Okay.
Yeah. You want to talk about Inside Out too?
Yeah, let's do it.
Okay.
I did see it.
So something you can contribute back into. I mean, why do I even have you on this thing? Inside Out 2, the latest Disney Pixar movie. The last, like the only Disney movie to actually make money in a while. All of the Marvel stuff didn't hit. All their previous, what was the... Like Haunted Mansion didn't do shit.
Yeah.
Just everything last year.
About that.
Disney was just tanking. This highest grossing film of the year so far. It beat Dune 2. It's already at like 1.2 billion.
Yeah, definitely crossed the billion
crazy.
Already. Yeah, I feel like you can't even talk about Inside Out 2 right now without talking about the money that it has made.
Mm-hmm.
Not a movie that I expected to make this much at all. Because even though the first one ends on that kind of like okay, what else could go wrong with getting
Mm-hmm.
into puberty?
Yeah.
I still, for some reason, didn't expect a sequel to this anytime soon, if at all.
Well, I mean, it's been like 9 years,
I
so I
know,
wouldn't call it soon.
but that feels soon to me. Like
Yeah?
Inside Out to me still feels like modern Pixar, and I guess that's
Oh.
just me being old.
I guess that's like mid Pixar now.
Really? So
Like,
when you think of the first Inside Out, to you, it's definitely
that's
not
like
recent.
generation 2 of Pixar.
Yeah, we're getting old.
Yeah.
Well, anyway, but I love Inside Out probably more than you.
Yes.
It's one of those ones that I really really liked, and I did rewatch it. I mean, just like something I threw on lunch breaks and stuff, leading up to this one, and I will say I still like Inside Out 1 better than this one, but they're great and they know what they're doing. Pixar knows what they're doing with these movies.
Usually they don't seem to know what they're doing with a lot of their sequels. You know, Incredibles 2, not very good. Finding Dory, it's not bad, but
No.
like, who
I enjoy
gives a
both of those
shit?
sequels, but
But compared to their originals, they
Yeah.
don't even hold a candle to. And you would think Incredibles 2 would be the easiest fucking thing to possibly do. So, and then after a couple of flops like Lightyear and so many that went direct to streaming, what was it? I was going to call it Red Notice. Turning Red, Luca, Soul, Onward got struck, was in theaters when COVID hit. So, like, they haven't had the best luck with their animation.
True. Now you laid it all out like that. I didn't quite. Yeah, you're right. It's been a rough few years for
It's
them.
been a while. So this one, Riley's going through puberty. A new button has popped up on the console. She's going to a hockey camp, and she's torn because she wants to make friends with the cool hockey girls or stick with her friends. But her friends are going to a different high school, so like maybe she should just say "fuck you," you know? I really like these new emotions.
Yeah,
I like them better than any of the original emotions.
What was the big one, the sad embarrassment, that's what it was. Yeah. Anxiety being like the villain or whatever.
Yeah.
So good.
Yeah.
That's such a good
and not like
idea.
a malicious villain, like
No.
truly thinks that they're doing the right thing for Riley, and then cascading events of, oh, I fucked this up, but I can fix it. Oh, I fucked it up again. I can fix it. And then just creating a panic attack. I really like Envy. It's just a cute little design, and who doesn't like Ao Edibiri? Ennui doesn't do a whole lot, but I like the look. They all look more fun designs compared to the first ones. Like, I don't like sadness. I really don't like joy. Fear is kind of boring. Anger works.
Yeah. Not a lot of him in this movie, I feel like. I didn't get a lot of anger moments in this movie.
We got a lot more of disgust and fear than we ever did before.
I'm okay with disgust.
I know you've been having emerging feelings with disgust. Yeah, I mean, I guess out of all of them, she's the hot one. I guess.
Like, just be mean to me.
But yeah, it was a good movie, and if I was a softer, less cold-hearted person, it definitely would have gotten me. But I'm kind of an old curmudgeon, and I bottle my feelings up.
It's weird. I feel, I wouldn't say I'm that, but I do feel that I am a bottle feelings upper. Yes, one of those. But yeah, movies get me.
Yeah,
like I cry more in movies than I will in a moment in my life that is serious that I should be crying.
Yeah, if anything would get me, it would be a movie, because I do get invested in them.
What's the last movie you cried in?
I've never cried at a movie. Maybe as a little kid watching like Homeward Bound or something, but never as an adult. There's been 2 times that I got very, very close, and I think I even talked about it with Steve. One was watching Monster. Okay, and I got to preface that both these times I was extremely high while I was watching, so I wasn't in my right head. The movie Monster with Charlize Theron.
Yeah.
She's sending Christina Ricci away, saying like, "Get the fuck out! I'm no good for you."
On the bus.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Got me. You know, Charlize Theron's amazing in that movie. And then other time was The Rules of Attraction with James Van Der Beek and Ian Somerhalder.
I don't
And
think I've seen that one.
oh, dude, you should definitely borrow that from me because I don't think it's streaming anywhere.
Okay.
Written by the guy who did American Psycho, Bret Easton Ellis,
Oh, okay.
and it's actually I just said his fucking name, Dawson's Creek.
James Van Der Beek.
James Van Der Beek. He is Patrick Bateman's brother. His name is Sean Bateman
Oh.
in it. And there's even a part where he gets a phone call from someone and he's just like, Patrick? But yeah, in the books they do mention like they don't get along, but it's his little brother, and
And they both end up being kind of crazy.
well, he's just like he's in college and he's a piece of shit, and he thinks someone's in love with or someone is in love with him. They're dropping like notes in his box, and he thinks it's Shannon Sossaman because that's who he has a crush on, but it's this random other girl, and God, I really don't want to say it now because like you really should watch this movie.
Just leave it. I'll check it out.
But there's a part in it where it got me, and I started to tear up just a little bit, and we'll talk about it when you actually watch it.
Okay.
But yeah, it got me. But nothing has ever actually made a tear come out my eye and down my face. Wow. Yeah, I'm just too cool for that shit.
I mean, listen, I like to fancy myself a cold-hearted, kind of emotionalist person, but nah, movies be getting me. I will cry in a movie for sure.
Do you think there's going to be an Inside Out 3? I mean, you make over $1 billion twice, and I'm only.
What's the next age group? You move to adulthood?
Yeah, I think they would just keep her in high school. I think it wouldn't be a huge jump.
Let's be honest. Before we move on from it, they managed to go through puberty and not touch on sexual things at all.
So we have more emotions that can show up, and it would be like passion.
But would it be Pixar-y?
Yeah, it's like, how do you do horny for Pixar?
It's going to turn into a big mouth.
Yeah, and they would never allow that.
No. Well, Turning Red had... It was puberty related,
yeah,
but it wasn't...
But it was like Crush on a Boy Band, wasn't it? It's not like... You would think the plot would actually be her finding a crush and actually... daydreaming about it, making stupid decisions to try to look cool in front of them. A lot of things that we've already seen before. But, yeah. And I mean, I guess you could go to adulthood, but I feel like that would be maybe cutting some emotions out. Like, as you get older, you don't have time to be scared about things because you're busy doing...
It's going to turn into a much more serious movie.
I mean, and maybe they should just hold off on it and let the audience... grow with it and then do something a little more
Pixar like puts out their first like R-rated movie. Yeah, that would be crazy.
You get like a Seth Rogen doing a sausage party version of Inside Out. And
have you ever seen I don't know why I'm thinking of this. Have you ever seen Anomalisa?
No.
Yeah, it's just
isn't that the stop motion?
But it's fully for adults, 100%, and they touch on a lot of adult stuff. Like I would love Pixar to be like, all right, this one, we're doing one, this one's not for the kids.
Yeah, unfortunately, I think they would have to not call it Pixar, not put the Disney name on it. It would have to be its own new separate animation studio.
Yeah. So basically never.
Yeah, I don't see it happening.
Yeah, I can't see them moving on to an older age group with Inside Out without getting... more mature, and touching on things that they don't want to touch on, probably.
But they got good writers. They could maybe find a work around it. So who knows? I doubt we're going to be having a like Riley masturbating for the first time scene, and the different emotions and who plays with what,
That's what I was waiting for. Yeah, we're gonna cut that, right? Cut that.
You get disgust and embarrassment,
Wait, what's disgust doing?
Making out with embarrassment because it's like, oh, this is so gross, but I like it. So all the emotions inside the head, they're all getting it on with each other. Look up Inside Out Rule 34. I'm sure it exists.
Yeah, I'm sure.
Quiet
Place?
Yeah, let's talk about Quiet Place Part 3. No, Quiet Place Day 1. I don't like that as well. It's just like the Bad Boys 4 Life. It's got 1 in the title now, but it's Part 3. Just A Quiet Place 3.
That's even though it was taking place.
But okay, so then if they had another one that took place with Emily Blunt, would you want that to be called A Quiet Place 3? Or is it just now Quiet Place and then a subtitle? Because they'd be like, 3? I thought there was a third one. Well, actually, the third one that came out is actually a prequel. This is the third one in the series.
I don't have a problem with the day one title. I think
I guess it's fine.
I think it's okay.
And this is one of the best horror monster genres where you can just do anything. Like with a Friday the 13th, you got to be at Camp Crystal Lake. It's got to be Jason. You got to, but at least you get new characters every time. This is, kind of similar. You have the same monsters, but you just set it wherever. What's the military doing during this? What's France doing during this? Or people in Australia, maybe they didn't get one of those comments and they're like, all right, we're totally safe.
Honestly, I wouldn't have minded if this movie, it was day one and we got to see day one in, what city were we in?
New York.
It was New York, okay.
Yeah.
So we're in New York. I wouldn't mind seeing day one there, and they didn't have to focus on just a couple characters. I would have been okay with like a
smattering of people, yeah.
A Roland Emmerich type of thing. It doesn't have to be so intimate, but I'm not saying I didn't like that about it. I'm just saying I would have been okay seeing a little bit more.
I do think that's one of my problems with this movie is I wish it was more than 2 people the whole time. I want really a group of people. Like, when she got those 2 kids that were in the fountain, I was just like, oh, she's going to try to lead them out, and those kids are going to get snatched up or something, and that's going to be heartbreaking. But it's like, no, it's just 2 people and a cat. I want to see more monsters killing people that I care about, not random passerbyers on the street that just don't know how to shut the fuck up.
And it's a relatively quick movie, so I feel like
93 minutes, I think.
Yeah, you really are with. I mean, even what's the actor's name? The guy from Stranger Things.
Yeah,
Joseph. Is that his real
Joseph
name?
Quinn?
That's what I wanted to say, but I don't want to sound stupid.
Something Quinn.
That sounds right. I forgot he was in this movie until he popped up in that about halfway through.
Yeah.
So
I didn't know that Alex Wolff, is that his name?
I didn't know he was in it either, and barely.
Then I found out about it moments before the movie started. It's like, he's in this? And then even when he showed up on screen, I didn't realize that was him.
Just casually dropping in on all the good horror franchises and movies and stuff.
I mean, if I was a known actor, I would love to do that. I'm like, you're making this thing? Yeah. Let me be Brad Pitt. And you could Bill and Sam in the movie and then let A Quiet Place monster just fuck me up right at the beginning, But this is a story of Lupita Nyong'o's character who's going through cancer or some sort of terminal illness.
I'm assuming cancer.
It's always cancer. So, and they're going into the city for a puppet show. And then the monsters attack. They strike, and we just follow her and Joseph Quinn for the rest of it. It's a relatively simple movie. It's just we got to survive and let's go get pizza.
I am interested. I would be interested to see this movie when we're not following a character that is terminally ill and they just listen. I'm going to die anyway. I just want to get some pizza from a place that I have attachment to, because that's a lot of her characters. Story throughout the movie.
I can't get the medicine I need to survive. I'm already dying even if I have the medicine. I might as well do this one last thing and then let myself get taken out.
I mean, it probably wouldn't be a whole lot different, but I wouldn't mind seeing this same movie with us following a character that is like dedicated to saving their life and wants to get out of the city and isn't just like, nah, I'm going to die anyway.
Like I was telling my roommate, it reminds me of kind of like Walking Dead. They had, we need this insulin. You go get the insulin for us and we'll give you this thing. And then, by the end, they do the thing and everyone survives. I could see that being the story. We have to get to this place. She gets the medicine and boom, we're safe. But you can tell, doesn't matter if she has a lifetime supply of this medicine. This is just to cover the pain more than actually any sort of treatment for her. But all in all, I didn't love this movie. It's not bad, but I wanted more action. I didn't want the cat to die for sure. But
I have things to talk about that cat.
But I needed something a little more oomph to it. and it just felt very safe for this type of movie. And I know this it isn't about the monsters; it's about the characters. But I don't think we get enough of the characters to really
Because they can't
care.
talk.
Because they can't talk, and when they do, it's very little. And Joseph Quinn's character, and like, oh, I'm not from here, and I'm going to school. Okay, yeah, and like anybody else on that street has that same sort of situation. They're just people, and they're there's an alien invasion. I needed a little bit more. That's why if we had a couple more characters, he could have had his girlfriend with them, or something a bit more, or like she's with a bunch of other terminally ill people. What if it's some of them, and she's like, I may not survive, but this person can if we get them back to their medicine. Yeah, I don't know.
It's a bare bones.
It's very bare bones. All right, let's talk about that cat. What do you guys say about this cat?
So I saw this movie with somebody else as well, and we both said the same thing. In that there's a scene where they go under the water. I'm sure you remember, and they're like in the sewers or tunnels or whatever. Like, for a second, I had to question that they even had the cat with them, because there's multiple scenes in this movie where I'm like, why is the cat with them?
Yeah.
It's just another thing that they have to worry about making sound or protecting. It's just, I don't get it. As much as I love cats, I would have kicked that cat to the curb. But
and so many times the cat would run away.
Yeah.
And then be like, come back. Oh, well. And they move on. And then the cat comes back to them over and over and over again. So, when it was underwater, like, oh, the cat must have just jumped on a pipe or something and ran off. Like, oh, no, that cat was under there the whole time.
In like a bag, I think it was.
And that would have been like heartbreaking. They get out and they're breathing, and then they open the bag and the cat has drowned, and she has now killed her emotional support animal. That's like heavy. I'm glad they didn't kill the cat. I'm also a cat lover. So, but it just, there was a scene when Joseph Quinn, he's going after the cat and he's climbing up on a girder. And they're eating their thing. Like, leave the cat alone. It will find you. It's done it a bunch of times before. You don't need to do this.
And why was the cat even there?
Yeah.
Like, it's not even his cat.
Yeah.
She was in a church, like, recovering because she hadn't been off her medication and going through a lot for the last few hours or whatever. And the cat, I guess, left because it's an outdoor explorsy kind of cat. And it, like, went to where he was at. And then this whole scene turns into, like, him, it gets tense because he's trying to save the cat without getting killed. And it's just like, this cat is a way too big of a part of this movie. As much as I love cats.
And I'm surprised it didn't do more. Like, they're having their little quiet dance number or whatever. It doesn't jump onto a piano and start playing it, and then monsters start busting through.
Yeah.
It only hits like a bell right at the very beginning, and that's the only thing it really does. I thought it would, like, make a sound and chase the monsters away to let them get out. There was no creative way of getting out of situations. It was just running. Yeah. They threw a brick at a car and the alarm went off, which, in all that chaos, that alarm would have gone off way earlier. But regardless, some of the fun things, like in the latest trailer for Trap, we see him trying to get out of the situation of being surrounded by cops. What can I do to get out of here? And this is just be quiet, let the aliens move on, or throw something and run. And if you know that they are sound monsters, why don't you have a couple of rocks in your pocket? You throw one rock down the street, they're going to go after it. They're so sensitive to that. And then it gets like really close to one of them, and it's got to be able to hear a heartbeat, right? If it's so fucking good, if it opens its face up and it's getting close,
you would think.
And you would think that they would just like swipe at anything just to see if something is there, but whatever.
Yeah, I think the rules of how they hear and stuff are a little muddy. But I will say, you just reminded me, one scene that I did really like from day one was watching like a bunch of people from the city try to be quiet and slowly make their way through.
Enough people is just too loud anyways.
Too much, and that kind of just was making me think, because like how scary that situation would be, where you're just hoping, like you're hoping and praying that everybody is on their P's and Q's that you're walking with is not going to hit something that's going to make a lot of noise. And sure enough, they did. And I did like watching the chaos that would happen as soon as somebody made some noise.
Sure.
It was really scary.
Yeah.
Like, the things were like, oh shit, there's a bunch of, like, and they're just killing everybody. I do wish it was rated R for moments like that,
Yeah.
just to see some limbs and stuff flying. But yeah, that was a tense. That was a tense moment. I
Yeah.
did like that scene.
And for a city that's supposed to be so incredibly loud, it doesn't play into the movie as much because once they hit and they start killing everyone, the city's relatively quiet. So, it doesn't really matter where they land. If they land in the middle of a cornfield, they're still going to hear like the wind blowing and the rustling of stuff. They're still going to go nuts for things. So it feels like they're missing something by being in a city, like ringing a church bell or something to lure them into a place to blow them up. Something.
Yeah, if only because they used it in the marketing for the movie,
Mm-hmm.
like the ads and stuff, like decibels of the city.
Yeah, that's how the movie opens.
Yeah,
it's like the decibels of New York City is like a constant scream.
Yeah, but it's like, okay, but once the movie gets going and
Yeah.
and everything's quiet in the city, it's the same as anywhere else. They
Yeah.
have to be pin needle quiet. So
You would think there would be a scene where one of the subway trains is just like going, it's like automated or something. So they're about to get killed. The train goes by, it makes enough noise that they're able to sneak away. Something.
yeah.
But it just feels kind of lacking.
Yeah, it's almost like we just got the invasion in just another place,
Yeah.
and not this place for a specific reason, just because.
It's like, well, it's New York. That's the place that gets invaded. That's the big destruction city. So,
yeah, I mean, I did see some people saying like they could see acting awards and stuff for this movie. I don't think so, but I will say there is something about having to act quietly, like that. That is, your emotion has to come through a lot more just from your eyes and stuff. So there's some moments in the movie that I was impressed with as far as like acting, but I agree with you. If I had to give it a score, maybe being generous, a generous 7 out of 10 would be generous.
I gave it a C minus. I know you do 1 through 10.
Yeah, I do the 10.
I do school grading.
Yeah, no, I like the letter thing. It seems more professional.
Yeah.
But I think I use the cop out of the 0.5, 10 because I can really narrow it down.
I mean, the minus and the plus kind of do the same thing as well.
Yeah.
So it's just
what would a C plus, or you said C minus?
a C minus. I guess that would be like a 4.5.
Oof. So I liked it a lot more than you probably.
Yeah, I mean, but see, that's why like your 7, like movies I like, pretty good will be a 7. They're just not perfect because all you have is 8, 9, and 10. And 10 is perfect, 9 is almost perfect, 8 is amazing, 7 is pretty damn fucking good.
Yeah.
So if you think of a C as a 5, then a C minus is about a 4.5.
Okay. Yeah. I mean, 7 could be a little generous, but I wouldn't go much lower than like a 6.5. I don't have major complaints.
Yeah.
I wasn't bored or anything.
Yeah. I just
a little bit more.
Compared to the other two, it's not as inventive. It's not as creative. It's kind of more of the same, which is disappointing.
Yeah, I would say yes. I would say it's a slightly disappointing entry into this franchise.
And with this franchise, you should learn a little bit more about the creatures. Like the first one, we learn about
what was going on in that scene where they're
eating.
Yeah, I was so.
What
confused.
are they eating? It looked like big cotton candy cabbages or something. So my roommate looked it up, and I guess they take our bodies because we never see them eat people. They take human bodies. And they need the organic material, just organic material to like help pollinate things so they can eat. So they use the bodies as like fertilizer to grow the stuff they eat. They're not actually eating us.
Okay.
But it's like, okay, that's cool, but I wish it was a little more clear, or we saw like a huge, massive pile of bodies. Like everybody who was dying in the 20-mile vicinity of this city, all the bodies are being pulled to one place. So then when he stumbles upon this huge, horrific thing and they're laying their eggs or doing whatever the fuck they're doing, that seems like that could be a really great shot. I wish we could learn a little bit more. You don't have to spell it all out, where they came from, but I want with every one of these movies, we get a little more information. And I think just kind of fuzzy cabbages wasn't enough.
Yeah, I definitely remember reading somebody else's on Instagram, their opinion of this movie just real quickly before I even saw it. And then it was something about we still don't know
Yeah.
like much about these creatures.
I always, in Attack the Block, they just talk about how they're just kind of like space pollen, and they're just flittering through the galaxy. And if they land someplace, that's where they'll repopulate. And it could just be something as simple as that. But you know, are there a ton of asteroids that have these monsters on it? They clearly aren't smart enough to be like traveling in a ship. Are they being ejected from some other civilization, or is it like they put them on this planet to wipe out the people so then they can invade? There's just, and I know for the creators they would say that's not the point.
Yeah.
That's never the point. And I do like the details, so I would. It doesn't ever have to be like in a movie, but I want whoever created these characters, these monsters, them to have an answer. They know where it is. They may not put it in a movie, but they have an answer. And it's not just, nope, just aliens that land for some reason.
Yeah, I agree. I do feel like I've gotten to a point in my life where I'm watching stuff. I don't need it all spelled out to me, but this is a genre and this is a movie or a franchise where I do kind of want to know a little bit more about the aliens.
There are some horror movies where you want to know the backstory of the psycho killer, why they're doing it, and then there's some movies where you don't know anything and it's like just mindless violence.
Yeah,
and it just depends on the story you're telling. And I know their story that they're telling here is about the people, not the aliens, but when the aliens are interesting enough, you just want to know more about them.
Yeah, I will say too, seeing them in this movie, I kind of forgot like the intricacies of like how exactly they look, the anatomy of the aliens in this movie franchise. I don't like it as much as I remember thinking they were cool. It's very liquor, very like
Demogorgon.
yes, very Stranger Things mixed with some Resident Evil liquor.
I really like that shot when they're in the sewer and they look up and it's just in the hole, just watching them.
Yeah.
That's a good shot. And then at the very end, when she unplugs her headphones from the stereo and it just drops, it reminded me of like Spider-Man dropping into an action scene. But great cut, love all that. I want more.
I was I was laughing to myself a little bit throughout this movie, thinking that this race of aliens, just funny actually, just talking to you about how we don't know much about them. The only thing I am certain about this race of aliens is that they are the biggest haters of all time. Like you watch this movie, and every time someone's doing anything, they're just like, "Oh hell no!
Don't you be making noise around me!"
And just like at the end, like she's having fun, listens to her music, she takes her headphones on. It's like, oh shit!
Absolutely not. Yeah. We are not having this.
Yeah, that's what I think about these aliens. They are huge haters. Don't have fun. Don't enjoy yourself around them. They will appear immediately.
And I think if we get another one where we have the military and they have the equipment, what's it like when one of these is in a soundproof room? There's no sound to be made. Do they go crazy because that's what they're looking for? Or is it like, finally, I could relax, no more sound, and they go into a meditative state? Like they hate the sound so much because it seems to be irritating them. It'd be one thing if they only attacked human sounds because they want the humans for their food. But they attack anything with a sound. So it seems like they really dislike all sound.
Yeah, any sound that's got to go.
So maybe it would relax and it would like open up and go, okay, guys, thank you for this. Let me tell you my backstory. All right. Anything else about Quiet Place Day One?
No, that's it. Decent
enough. Not going to make a ton of money, and I can see the studios going, "Oh, well, this isn't the hit that we thought it was going to be."
Yeah, I can see this being the last Quiet Place related thing.
For about 10 years, and then maybe like a direct-to-video, or I always say direct-to-video, but direct-to-streaming sort of cheapo version of this.
Yeah, in the world of streaming, we could see a continuation of this for sure. But I think as far as like theatrical releases, I don't see another one after this.
Yeah, we'll probably still get 2 more Strangers movies, but we won't get any more Quiet Place.
Which is a shame, because I like the idea of it. And I did like this movie. I like her a lot more than Joseph Quinn.
Oh, sure. But I like that he's like a big wuss.
He is.
He's not the action hero dude. He's not the manly man. He's like
that like a Scottish accent they gave him for no reason or something?
Is he not? Is he American?
Wait, really?
I don't know.
That was his normal voice?
I would assume. Why would they do, especially in a movie where there's not a lot of talking? Why give him an
True.
accent? And I would just think they'd say,
That's what I was thinking. And now that you're bringing it up, I'm
like,
starting
no,
to
just
think
use your regular
that's how he
accent.
talks.
Yeah.
Anyway, I like her a lot.
Yeah.
Don't really care for him a ton, but if you haven't watched her Hot Ones,
I will watch that.
I gotta
haven't watched it.
recommend that because
Yeah.
she's really funny on that.
It's Sunday night, so I have House of the Dragon at the last episode of Interview with the Vampire, which is on the TV right now.
Jeez.
I'm trying not to watch it. It's a show. It's hard for me to recommend to anybody, even to my roommate. She's like, "Oh, should I start watching?" I'm like, I don't know. It's not for everyone. There are times where you kind of roll your eyes, and other times that like, damn, this is really fucking cool. But with how much stuff is out there, this is one you could let go. Unless you're a hardcore vampire fan, I think I said it on the last episode. Unless you're a hardcore vampire fan, a hardcore Anne Rice fan, or you're gay, you don't need to watch this show. But anywho, so next week is probably Maxine.
Is that's next?
That's
Thursday?
next week. It's Maxine, and then Longlegs is the week after that.
Okay,
So-
like it's gotten to a point where as someone who collects physical movies,
Yeah.
they have changed it to now every other week.
Yeah,
is
that's
when
so
stuff
weird.
comes out.
Every other Tuesday, right?
Pretty much where it used to be every Tuesday something's
Yeah.
coming out. So now with movies, I'm like, I keep thinking every week is like, oh, this is the week where nothing really comes
Yeah.
out. But no, we
No.
still do get something every week.
Yeah, it's summertime now and
Yeah.
July, so I think it's Maxine, then Longlegs, then Twisters, then Deadpool, Wolverine, and then there's other things within that. That's not every movie. That's just
Yeah.
the big
But
ones.
if those are the big ones, that's a rough summer right there.
It's only
I mean,
July.
I think Twister's bombs.
No, I think Twisters will be a surprise hit. It won't be all that great, but it's one of those everybody goes and sees because, like, I remember Twister. Yeah, let's go see a big, fun, destruction porn movie. And I think it will make its money back, and then they'll go, oh, be prepared for Twisters and have an extra S on it. But, all right, so maybe Steve will get back. Maybe he'll watch this. I know he saw X, but he didn't see Maxine. I mean, it's Pearl. So who knows if he'll even see it? I don't know. We'll figure something out.
The future is uncertain.
With this podcast, it's always uncertain. It's always, we're going to come back next week. And then 2 weeks we don't do jack shit. Fuck you, Steve. All right. Well, if you want to get in contact with us, we are at WRPLpodcast@gmail.com. We're on Instagram, TikTok, Threads, and Twitter. Nick, do you have any socials you want to give out if anybody wants to, like, look at your Instagram or something?
Nah, I don't do much. I have an Instagram, but I wouldn't even bother. I don't barely use it.
I mean, there's really nobody listening to this to go and follow. If anything, you posting about this on your Instagram would do more for this podcast than this podcast could do for your Instagram. So
that's just sad.
Well, he's out there. Just Google the word Nick. You'll find him. All right. As always, I'm Ben, and keep consuming.